Yeah. No, great point. And you know, kind of a good segue into the final thing here on our 10 best moves to make if you're a buyer in 2025 is don't skip your inspection and appraisal. But connected to this, I want to talk about the contingency connected to that as well. It's not just should you do an appraisal or not? Well, depending on the loan type, you're going to need one. It's required.
It's required.
And the inspection you're going to want, whether it's required or not. But let's talk about the contingency aspect of that on the contract side, and then let's talk about inspection and appraisal. Yeah.
Yeah. So every inspection, so there's a home inspection that is actually that's up to you, the buyer. It's not mandatory, but we always say, if you're going to purchase anything, even when you're purchasing a vehicle, you want to take your mechanic with you to see if there's any, any problems with the engine or if there's any water in the oil. Like you want to check these things. You want to know that you're buying a good vehicle. In this case, again, this is one of the biggest purchases you're going to make in your life. You owe it to yourself and your family to make sure that you're getting a full home inspection. Again, there's friends, there's people that are recommended. If your realtor recommends and you're getting a top agent, they're going to recommend this home inspection and refer you to somebody who they've been working with that's, proven a track record, because you also want that to be a good proven track record. There is times when you hire a home inspector and then a month later you go in, there were water leaks that he didn't notice or that were created. So there's some home inspectors that have this actual insurance policy that covers that from them. Because you're going to be upset. Like, well, what happened? Why don't you know? We just did that. And we've seen this happen many, many times.
Yeah.
So always good to have a home inspector and then ask them words like, what got you? How many years have you been home inspecting? Do you have a general contractor's license? Even though it's not a requirement, it's always good to see if they have any idea of what that may be or consist of. Because there's a lot of times with these, people that were home general contractors actually turn to be home inspectors.
Yeah, and there's something I wanted to, and this might be a practical note, and this may seem elementary and obvious to you, but take a notepad and a pen with you. And if there's questions you have, ask your questions or notate things. Ask about lifespan. Hey, in this house, it's already 30 years old. When have you seen the pipes need to be replaced? How long do you think the roof still has on it in years? What would you say about how long this crack in the driveway is going to last, or whatever it might be? But ask those things. Again, this is part of my whole be observant, take note of what's going on around you, be aware, and ask. It's okay to ask, and it's okay to get their industry advice as well. Again, if they're formerly a general contractor and they're an inspector now, they've seen a lot. And they can tell you a lot about the materials that were used, the craftsmanship and the workmanlike fashion things were done in or not. And they can give you some insight as to what might be facing you in your home ownership experience.
Another cool home inspection that isn't something the home inspector does is they don't check like your actual pipes, where they actually put this camera and they look at everything. That is, I highly recommend, especially on an existing home, highly recommend that.
Yeah.
So that way you can really be clear, how the water pipes are.
Yeah, sometimes you'll find root systems that are growing through certain pipes, and it may not be disrupting the water flow, or you might not see dirt coming into it, but those cameras in there, man, they can find stuff.
Yeah, not yet.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's not yet then. It kind of goes to that like lifespan part of like, hey, ask what the lifespan of that stuff is and find out. And on the appraisal side, really, I think this is just more, it's part procedural and it's part safeguard. If you're going to end up buying a house and it is the most expensive thing you ever purchased and your biggest monthly payment, well, you want to know that it's worth what you're paying, right?
Yeah, correct.
so don't be trying to cut corners on that. And please do not remove your appraisal contingency if you're in escrow. I know that some people might say, well, I want to make my offer stronger. Okay, if you're in a position where you can afford to lose your earnest money deposit and you have a little more money down and your closing costs saved up and whatever, maybe there's a situation where you can convince one of us that that'd be okay. But in most cases, that's usually not a rule of thumb for people.
Yeah. And I really think, Andy, we've seen the last of that for a while.
Yeah.
Being that there's a lot more, supply of homes available, I don't think we're going to be seeing a lot of that. Homes are, taking longer to sell nowadays. And again, because of a whole affordability factor, higher interest rates, higher purchase prices, we're not seeing that, as often as we would before. I mean, times have really changed, and they've changed for the buyers. In the buyer's favor.
Yeah.
So I take advantage of it right now.
And I only mentioned it because, it wasn't too long ago that people were offering $25,000 more,
Yeah.
50,000 more, 100,000 more. Like, hey, forget the appraisal. It doesn't matter to me. I want this house more than the 100 people in line I'm, bidding
Yeah.
against.
I
So,
mean, it still happens, it still happens, but very rare are we hearing that.
yeah.
The appraisal is very important because remember, the investor is going to be loaning you the money. So if the investor wants to know if I'm going to loan you 800,000, we need the value to come in there. We understand that you're going to be putting money down or you're not with your VA. They still want to make sure that they're investing in the proper investment instrument, which
Yeah.
is that property.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's a layer of protection for the lender and for the buyer. So if the value, let's just say they're buying for 800,000, the value comes in at 780. Again, I know we talked about this earlier about the realtor having a strong negotiator. This is where your realtor is going to go and renegotiate the terms and conditions again. Hey, purchase price to be 780. And a lot of times the listing agent is going to try to get you to fill in that gap. Well, no, we'll go to 790. And you're going to say, no, 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 no. I either, I'll walk out. And the good thing is your earnest money deposit would not have been lost at that point. I'm hoping that the realtor kept those. A good realtor would. The only thing you'll lose out is any home inspections.
And can I talk about that real quick, because that sways the let's say that puts the pressure back on the seller side of the
Correct.
table. That seller has to decide, well, that's just that appraisal. Well, okay, if that listing agent disagrees with the appraiser, they have to rebuttal that. And
Correct.
they have to come up with evidence that they think is stronger than the comparables that the appraiser has already used in their appraisal report, which in most cases is an uphill climb. So number one.
Yes.
Number two, on the buyer side, and you and your buyer's agent can be like, look, it says 780. If we back out on this because our EMD is secure, we haven't removed our contingency for our appraisal, then good luck to you, because the next guy's going to come in and that appraisal is probably going to come in at 780, because if your house is going to go back on the market right away, guess what? Those most recent comps that were just used in the one that I'm backing out of are most likely to show up in the next appraisal too.
Correct.
Or in the case of VA, the appraisal stays with the property, and that is the appraisal for the next buyer.
That's it.
So just remember some of those little nuances too.
Exactly.